Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we have a 10-game slate to look at here on a Friday night. In this one, we're taking a look at the Bulls, trying to take advantage of the Portland Trailblazers, who probably, we should say, are in full tank mode, as they're going to be missing a bunch of guys as well. Sorry, we don't use the T word on the show, but it's resembling it. We've also got another game video up for you and our player props, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we have all of our great written content up there for you guys each and every day. And we also have our odds finder tool up there. That's what Nate and I use each and every day to make sure we're getting the best odds available to us from all of these sports books that are giving us bets in the NBA this season. Nate, let's go ahead and go through this 10-game slate and then talk about this game here. We got the Bulls and Blazers.
Yeah, Pacers plus 11 at Boston, probably without Tyrese Haliburton for a seventh straight game. Spurs are plus 7 at the Wizards. The Pistons plus 12.5 at Raptors. Rockets are plus 12.5 at Memphis. Rematch there. Hornets plus 13 at the Mavs. And the Bucks minus 8 at Utah. No Markkanen or Clarkson or Sexton or anybody for the Jazz. And the Bulls are minus 2 here at Portland after opening at plus 1. So they're gaining a little steam. The Suns are plus 4.5 at the Kings. We break that one down for you. Sixers are up to plus 5 at the Warriors with Harden and Embiid questionable, but Embiid is closer to probable. And then the Thunder will be on a back-to-back plus 5.5 at the Lakers after playing the Clippers here tonight. This is a really interesting game to talk about because, Portland, you said tanking or, kind of shifting priorities to a degree. Anthony Simons has been ineffective and injured for the last few weeks, and so it's time to sit him down and see what you have in Shaedon Sharpe, apparently, who really, thrived alongside Dame Lillard, broke their 6-game losing streak with a nice 23-point effort there, played 40 minutes and was a plus 28. And, Jeremy Grant also hobbled. I have no idea the actual extent of these injuries, but it's just like a chance, like Trenton Watford, see what you can do. And in his last 4, he's been very efficient, very effective. They still allow 120 points per game in this last 7 stretch here, and they really struggle defensively in a number of areas, which makes me, certainly want to say the Bulls are going to be able to beat them. That performance from Sharpe and breaking the streak came against a Utah team that I just mentioned, it sitting all their best players as well. So the biggest thing is when you talk about Portland is who's going to be able to guard Dame. And while Caruso's questionable for the Bulls, we know Pat Beverly's in. And if Caruso plays too, that's certainly going to be 2 guys you can throw at him, throw in the kitchen sink here. Dame did drop 40 when these teams played in February, but that was with no Caruso. He shot over 50%. Last time and then he faced the Bulls in 2021 with Caruso on him, scored 22 on 33% shooting. Versus the last time he faced Pat Bev in the Lakers, 24 points on 30% shooting. Last 4 versus a team with Pat Bev on it, 25 points on 37% shooting, minus 32. Rating there. If Dame's not going to be Superman, then you got to worry about Portland. You need both him to do that, and you need these young guys to continue to play ahead of their skis, so to speak. And just in terms of Portland saying what do we have here? And that's the one thing that gives me pause to not bet heavy, along with the fact that DeMar DeRozan's questionable, and I would not bet on the Bulls without him. They need all 3 of their guys. But it just gives me a little pause to say, maybe the Blazers, they're not just playing for the play-in spot, which they don't think they're going to get here. They're sort of auditioning to continue to have Damian Lillard in their uniform, right? These young guys are look, see, we're rebuilding quicker. We have something here. The fact that he's been paired with Simons for most of the year and it just hasn't worked. It's been far less effective than it was with CJ McCollum because you have 2 small guards. And so it's maybe if we get this big wing, see what you have with this rookie, maybe there is a future here because all of his comments recently about, I'm not chasing rings, but also what the hell is this rebuilding shit? You traded Josh Hart And, now we have absolutely no defense and we've been, a doormat. But I think we can continue to attack them at basically no spread here. Even if DeRozan is out, LaVine did torch them last time. LaVine is on a heater. And, the Bulls, they've been hanging their hat on defense, right? Last 4 roadies, 104 with a 107 defensive rating. Also gone under at 11 of 15 roadies. And the Blazers are going under at a pretty high clip against the East. Also just lost 14 of the last 18 against the East. So I'd lean a little bit towards defense carrying the Bulls here and getting them to win.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't. It's funny because like the Jazz kind of resemble the Blazers in some ways in the sense of like Danny Ainge is like kind of trying to tank, but then he'll randomly allow like Laurie to play, or not even like Agbaji will just go off and he'll just kind of be like, no, just kidding, come back, never mind, back to the bench. And Portland is the same weird back and forth of like, we're trying to win and we're going to trade Josh Hart for Cam Reddish to prove to you that we're trying to win. And also now we have Matisse Thybulle, who couldn't find 5 minutes a game on the Sixers, but like, we'll take him because maybe he'll make a shot on our team, and not the case. So like, it's very confusing. Dame is pissed because he's like, I'm not here for a rebuild. Like I'm showing you guys loyalty through the lens of, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and give me somebody to play with. And I don't have anybody to play with. And you're not even playing the guys that I have in Jeremy Grant and such at this point, who also might not be here pretty soon for them in the offseason. But at this point, like, yes, there's some nice young guys out there. But like, if you look at the rosters, let's say let's say DeMar doesn't play, just which 7 guys do you like more still at that point, even if Caruso doesn't play? And at least you have a Pat Bev who's an NBA veteran that you trust on a basketball court as much as you can trust Pat Bev. But I'm also looking at the defense of those young guys who have been getting minutes. And I don't want to touch a total necessarily. I still think you go Bulls at a very small spread on this one as we record on a Thursday night to try to get ahead of some of this stuff, right? Catch some of these early lines. The defense for Portland, though, is just bad. And to be honest, like, as far as the total goes, the defense for Chicago stopping what Portland's going to do isn't great either. They are giving up a lot of threes since March started. They've been giving up, I believe, the 5th most 3-pointers to their opponent, and a really high clip as well. They're getting a lot of attempts and they're getting a lot of makes as well against the Bulls. Maybe Pat Bev stops a lot of that. I mean, Dame's going to probably still get his. You can only guard somebody from 35 feet so well, right? And that's where Dame's been pulling from still at this point, and pulling a lot. So, I'm never going to take an under on that, but it's just him alone and his ability to beat a Utah team that, like I said, as soon as they won a game against the Kings that maybe they shouldn't have, Danny Ainge was like, all right, everybody back to the bench. We're not doing this. Even if I'll put Laurie out there and make you think that I'm trying, because he's going to drop 38, Markkanen will, but like nobody else is going to get 12 points. So that'll be fine, right? Nobody tanks like Danny. He's so good at it. But at any rate, they're also, Portland giving up like 120 points in those 7 games. They're allowing, they're also allowing their own 3-pointers a lot. It just doesn't matter against Chicago, who's right back to scoring like 10 a game. The thing that does matter is Portland allows a ton of mid-range, and they allow it at a very high clip. And that's been going on for the last 7 games as well, since they haven't had anybody and lost 6 of their last 7. They're giving up like the 4th highest field goal percentage from that, 12 to like 17 feet. I mean, I have it right here. It's the exact numbers, whatever the feet exactly is. It's like 10 to 19. Thank you. Anything from 10 to 19, they're giving up a ton of a very high field goal percentage. And like, that's what we're talking about here with the Bulls. And if Zach LaVine's going to be the focal point of the offense, then we're talking about a lot of threes. And Zach LaVine's going to probably shoot close to 11 or 12 attempts in that case, if DeMar's not around, and probably have some pretty good looks. So I just like Chicago. It looks like a much better team right now, continues to win, even though they did get smacked by a really, really good 76ers team the other night. They're just way less crappy than this Blazers team right now.
Yeah, it's a Occam's razor explanation right there. I mean, yeah, the Blazers are not a good team. They've lost 8 straight against teams in the playoffs, 10 straight if you count the Pelicans, which are games they need to win if they want to have any chance at the play-in. Their last 3 wins are against Orlando, Detroit, and Houston, and Utah. They're being the latest ones. But yeah, it was, again, Utah's bunch of rookies. And I don't think, just to go on the side, I don't think it's like necessarily Danny telling him who's going to sit and who's going to play. It's just that they all spiked. Like everything hit at the same time. Agbaji had an incredible game. They had 7 guys in double figures. They popped up and beat the Kings. But yeah, Utah is not it in terms of like, oh, look, let's see the Trailblazers are on track here. And they have this weird thing going against the East where they're just, like I said, 4 in 14 since January 6th, getting outscored by 9 points per game against the East. They're 10-19 on the season. So, I mean, they do tend to go under here as underdogs at home versus like a much higher record as home favorites. And so they're slight dogs here. They do also go under after a W because they can't string it together as much. And then I'm just really impressed by the Bulls. If you look at what they're doing cross-conference, defensive ratings of 105, 102, and 112 against the teams that are in the top 3 in the West right now. Memphis, Denver, and Sac in a row, beating or actually only beating Denver, but still holding, right there with Sacramento, holding their own on the defensive end of the floor against the top-rated offense in the league. So. Yeah. That is what I think I would lean towards in terms of their defense and leaning on that.
Definitely. And winning in Denver when Jokic is playing is worth 2 wins. So yeah, they got 2 wins essentially because that was wildly impressive and one of the more surprising things that's happened this season. I would continue to bank on that and continue to bank on this defense. Like we believe you now. You're really, really good at defense, Chicago. You don't give up second chances. You get those defensive rebounds and you close out, except for around the perimeter, it seems, as of late. So we'll see if the Blazers are able to get some threes up, but I think we would still lean slightly under. I think we expect this point total here to probably open around high 220s, maybe low 230s at the highest, but probably closer to 220, 7, 8, 9 around there more than anything. And that's probably fair, as Mo would say at that point. And either way, I would still be leaning Chicago, as I think this total will probably be properly projected by the books here when we get it in a little bit. But that is all the time we have for you on this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Check out the other couple videos we have up for you, including those player props. And until we see you next, happy betting.